Here's our program agenda. We will have an opening and formal remarks by our social action chairs, followed by the welcome and acknowledgement by our esteemed First Vice President, Nadine Rosemond. And then you'll have the introduction of the moderator, followed by the introduction of the county commissioners. Then we'll have a very engaging conversation with our county commissioners. And then we'll move to our second hour, where we'll have our ready, set, run conversation with our political advisors. Next, we'll have our call to action by our esteemed Councilwoman at Large, Kimberly Francois, followed by a post-program evaluation, and then the closing by our social action chairperson. Next slide. Sora Nadine.
So good evening. I'm going to introduce you, Sora Nadine. I'm Lisa Malloy Stevens, one of the co-chairs for the Social Action Committee of Central Jersey Alumni Chapter of Delta. And excuse me, I'm having technical difficulties, but I'm going to keep pushing through. So on behalf of myself and my co-chair, Reverend Dr. Katina Jackson, we just want to take a moment to welcome you to the event, Black Women Run County Government. We know you will be enlightened and inspired by the 4 phenomenal county commissioners who are part of our first hour, educated and motivated by the second hour panelists, and by our call to action. So let's get started. So it's my pleasure to introduce Nadine Prince Rosemond, the first Vice President of Central Jersey Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, who will bring you greetings from our chapter, after which Dr. Jackson will introduce our moderator for our first hour. Madam First Vice President.
Thank you, Sora Stevens, and good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Central Jersey Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and our President, Patricia Williamson, who could not be here with us this evening, I bid you all a warm welcome and thank you for joining tonight's conversation on Black Women Run County Government. At this time, I would like to acknowledge Soror Nicole Drew, the Eastern Region Social Action Co-Chair of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Welcome. And Middlesex County Sheriff Mildred Scott, welcome, and thank you for joining us this evening. And to our distinguished panelists, Commissioner Chanel McCullum of Middlesex County, Commissioner Chanel Robinson of Somerset County, Commissioner Rebecca Williams of Union County, and Commissioner Angela Garrettson of Union County. Welcome and thank you for your time, your dedication, and service in your respective counties. Central Jersey Alumni Chapter, also known as CJA, is a group of over 400 dynamic women bonded in sisterhood, committed to community uplift and engagement in the Black community through public service, scholarship, and social action in Union, Middlesex, and Somerset counties. And each panelist that we have here tonight will represent one of the counties in which we serve. So to our guests, I know you are ready to hear valuable information about the road to elected office and/or seeking governmental appointments. So before I turn this program over, a quick thank you to CJA's Social Action Committee, led by my sorors Lisa Stevens and Katina Jackson, for bringing forth this timely conversation as we move forward in 2024, because representation matters. Thank you.
As co-chair, leading with Lisa Malloy Stevens, I must thank our co-chairs of Voter Education and Engagement, India Lanier and Denise Clyde. They have done a phenomenal job of planning this event, and rightfully so, because India Lanier is a 4th-year doctoral candidate in the Department of Political Science at Rutgers University, and her work focuses on women in politics, Black politics, American politics, specifically Black women's politics, body politics, and Black feminism. Her research examines Black women's political behavior, ideology, and participation through Black feminist theoretical lenses. She is a proud HBCU alumna of North Carolina Central University in 2018. Thank you for your hard work India, and dedication to the cause of Black women and excellence in politics. Equally as passionate about women in politics and social action is our voter education and engagement co-chair, Denise Clyott, who will moderate our first hour of power. Denise Clyott is a senior human resources and strategy partner with the National Resources Defense Council, an environmental nonprofit that uses science, policy, law, and people power to confront the climate crisis, protect public health, and safeguard nature. An entrepreneur since 2020, Denise is an independent consultant for Beauty Counter, a clean personal care brand whose mission is to get safer products into the hands of everyone. Denise is also on the board of Currently Trending, a Philadelphia nonprofit and member of the beloved Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. A proud HBCU graduate of Hampton University, she lives in Somerset, New Jersey with her son, godson, and rescue dog. And her dedication and commitment to social action is unparalleled, as today is Denise Clyott's birthday, and she chooses to celebrate her life, health, and strength by facilitating the empowerment of Black women in politics. Happy blessed birthday to you, Soar Clyott. I present to some and introduce to others your moderator for this first hour of Women Power, Denise Clyott. Enjoy.
My apologies. Thank you so much, Sora Katina. And for those who are on, if you need someone to speak at your church or women's ministry, please know that my soror, Reverend Dr. Katina Jackson, is not only a powerful social action co-chair, but she also is a powerful woman of God and can bring a message, as I'm sure you can tell just from her introduction. Next slide, please. It gives me great pleasure to serve as the moderator today for our first hour, Black Women Run County Government. I will start by introducing our esteemed commissioners, starting with Angela R. Garrettson, who earned her bachelor's degree in business administration and communication from Syracuse University, her master's degree in public administration with honors from Rutgers University, and completed her PhD with NJIT Rutgers on the topic of university business and urban school district partnerships. A former program director for Rutgers Eagleton Institute of Politics, the commissioner currently works as Chief External Affairs Officer at the New Jersey Institute of Technology, where she reports directly to the university president. She is a former mayor of Hillside, New Jersey. Again, Angela R. Garrettson from Union County. Next slide. My county commissioner in this county of Somerset, Commissioner Chanel Y. Robinson, is currently serving her third year as Somerset County Commissioner Director and her second term as Somerset County Commissioner. She is the first African American woman to serve in either role, representing the roughly 345,000 plus residents of the county. Previously, Commissioner Chanel served as a councilwoman and deputy mayor in Franklin Township, New Jersey. Her focus as an elected official is to be a servant leader for every individual, business, and community, and to work cooperatively to make Somerset County the best place to live, work, and play. In addition to Chanel's work as an elected official, she is the borough administrator for the borough of Roselle, New Jersey, and previously served as an information technology executive in the healthcare industry. She holds a bachelor's degree in labor studies and employee relations from Rutgers University and received a ministry in dance theology from the Eagles International Training Institute in Frisco, Texas. Commissioner Chanel is also a proud veteran of the United States Air Force Reserves and a member of Sigma Pi Sigma Physics Honor Society. I must say that was my first poor grade in high school in physics, but I did end with a B, thank goodness. Commissioner Chanel is also the mother of 3 wonderful children and the 3 most amazing grandchildren in the world. Next slide. Gives me great pleasure to introduce our next county commissioner of the county of Middlesex, Commissioner Chanel Scott McCullum. was sworn in as County Commissioner on April 21st, 2021. Commissioner Scott McCullum is the current chair of the Economic Development Committee. In this role, she is responsible for overseeing an array of educational and job training opportunities for residents through the county's educational institutions, Middlesex County College, Middlesex Magnet Schools, and the Office of Career Opportunity. She also oversees the Arts Institute of Middlesex County, as well as the county's Cultural and Arts Trust Fund, which invests in the arts as well as cultural and historical infrastructure and programming. In 2021, Commissioner Scott McCullum received the Chauncey I. Cooper Award from Howard University for significant involvement in community service and contributions to the profession of pharmacy. Before her appointment to the Middlesex County Board of County Commissioners, County Commissioner Scott McCullum served on the Piscataway Township Council from 2013 to 2021. In her professional career, Dr. Scott McCullum is a licensed registered pharmacist in New Jersey since 1991. She began her pharmacy career as a staff pharmacist at Pathmark Pharmacy in the city of Newark. She then transitioned to research and development side of pharmaceutical industry, where she accepted a position with Merck, Sharp, and Dome LLC, where she has worked for more than 25 years. She was educated in Piscataway public and private schools before earning her bachelor's degree in pharmacy, magna cum laude from Howard University in Washington, D.C., and her doctorate in pharmacy from Shenandoah University in Winchester, Virginia. County Commissioner McCullum is a member of Girl Trek, the largest public health nonprofit for African American women and girls in the United States, and she is also a life member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And last but absolutely not least, next slide. Our county commissioner for the County of Union as well, Rebecca L. Williams, was elected to her first full 3 terms in November 2019 and was reelected to a second term, full term that is, in 2022. In 2022, she also served her first term as chair of the Union County Board of County Commissioners. This year, Commissioner Williams will be serving as chair of the board's Parks and Programming Committee and as a member of the Fiscal and Public Works and Facilities Committee, respectively. In addition, she will serve as liaison to the following advisory boards: the Union County LGBTQ Ad Hoc Committee, Cornerstone Board of Managers, Motion Picture and TV Advisory Board, Union County Vocational Tech School Board of Estimates, the Greenbrook Flood Control Commission, as well as the Meadow Link EZ Ride. Known for an emphasis on constituent outreach, fiscal issues, supports for the arts and cultural initiatives, and quality of life matters, Commissioner Williams advocates for county local shared services and saves tax dollars while improving efficiency. She has also been in the forefront of the LGBTQ advocacy, working with the Union County Office of LGBTQ Affairs to address housing, senior services, education, health, public safety, community engagement, and other areas of concern. Commissioner Williams is a full-time faculty member of the Humanities Division at Essex County College in Newark, where she teaches American literature, African American literature, effective speech, English composition, and women's literature. And now it gives me great pleasure to start our panel discussion with our esteemed county commissioners. If you could just bring us all on screen, I think that would be fine at this time. I am so pleased to be with you all. Thank you, commissioners, for joining us. What an honor to know and to be able to have this discussion with you. And from the registration for this particular webinar, I think many people are very excited about you being here with us. So thank you. I'm going to start with a question that any one of you can take, and that is, what are the responsibilities of a county commissioner?
Well, I'll start. In Union County, and then probably in the other counties, and Dr. Garrettson can second or add to. One of I would say the most important thing that we do is we pass the county budget. which provides resources, throughout the county, especially for our Department of Human Services and of course other departments. We also are stewards of the 36, I think soon to be 37 parks within the Union County Parks system. We also administer the court, and let's see, what else, Dr. Gerritsen?
I like to say we also work with the county schools. So whether it's
sure.
for us as Union County College, and many times we are like the council people of all of the 21 municipalities that we represent in Union County. So we very proudly, whenever you go through roads and they start in one town or one municipality and go straight through another, most likely you are driving on one of the roads that the county representatives are responsible for. And lastly, go ahead, my colleague.
Oh, I was just going to add, we also have the union, we also oversee the Union County Improvement Authority and the Union County Utilities Authority as well. And but I think that, the most important thing is really making sure that we provide resources to our residents, who are, especially those who are in need. And as Dr. Gerritsen said, we also, maintain county roads, et cetera. Thank you.
And if I could also add to that, we are also responsible for public safety and health. That's I think another part, as well as community services. Just wanted to add to that. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Yes, and I'll add to that. In addition to what my colleagues have said, some of the things that we oversee is public safety, health and human services, which would include public safety, your 911, emergency management, such as what we've experienced in Ida and storms of the like, human health and human services with youth services, veteran services, senior services, in addition to for public works, maintaining those county roads and bridges, and open space initiatives. We do work in Somerset County. Our park commission is their own authority, but we do work in conjunction with them in addition to our county college, which is Raritan Valley.
Well, I think I can probably speak.
So, and working with the OTEX.
Wow. I think I can probably speak for many people who are on the webinar that we did not have nearly the knowledge of what this role encompasses. When I think about public safety and 911, I think I'll always think about it differently now. Someone who looks like me in all of the counties that we serve is responsible for that. And so thank you for sharing that. I have something that I'd like for each of you to maybe tell us a little about. What is one attribute or personality trait? And this is a question from one of our panel, one of our guests. What is one attribute or personality trait you feel is necessary in order to serve in a position like yours?
I would say resiliency.
I'm sure.
in this space, especially being Black or African-American women, a lot of people want to see us fail. There have been a lot of white males that have been dominant in this space, and the strong, confident, articulate, educated, professional women in these spaces are seen as a threat. So having the resiliency, being persistent and believing in yourself, and always bringing a flair of sophistication to the role that otherwise men just don't bring to the table.
Okay.
I also think you have to be a people person, right? You have to enjoy talking to people, look forward to answering a lot of questions, looking forward to helping people, because people, we're in this role to give back to the community, right? That's why we were elected. So if you don't feel comfortable talking in front of people or answering questions, you won't be successful.
And I would like to add that you need to be an advocate. A lot of times when you come in these roles, you need to have signature issues that you really are passionate about, as you heard. We have
Yeah.
so many opportunities to, whether it's when it came down to COVID, we were literally outside every day when everyone was inside because we had to advocate on behalf of so many of our residents. And so if you're able to connect to an issue that you're passionate about, you care about, and you make sure that no matter how we serve, that you're able to leverage that with the work that we do. So I would say making sure you're an advocate and really being passionate about a key issue and making sure that becomes a part of who you are able to show your constituents that you want to represent.
I love
And
that,
I
Dr.
would add to
Garrison.
that, I agree with what my colleagues have said, but also as a part of that, to be a really good listener. You really have to listen so that you actually will hear. As Dr. Garrett, as Angela, I'm going to call you Angela. As Angela said, why not be
We're all
informal?
friends.
We all agree.
Exactly. As Angela said, in order, to be a good advocate, you really do have to be a good listener. Sometimes you will, as Chanel mentioned, you'll have to listen to some nonsense coming into your ear from those who do not want you to be successful, but you still have to take it all in. And I think the only way that you can be effective is if you take, that listening experience and, in that way, you will be able to be a better advocate. But yeah, so that's what I would add. But I agree with everything everybody else said.
Yeah, and Rebecca, to add to that, I mean, I think that's critical, right? Because we are the voice of the people. They put us here. So we have to listen to what our constituents have to say, right? And bring those ideas to the table. So I think that's important. So thanks for mentioning that listening aspect.
I love that. I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to jump right in and ask one question that one of our webinar attendees asked that's really relevant. And it may be something you're not expecting. Why are the townships building so many warehouses?
Well, fortunately or unfortunately, that does not fall under our domains. That's going to be more of a municipal issue. So as a former mayor, that's not something that we're going to the planning boards or other. So again, county level wise, we are able to see what's happening, and we do work with a lot of our mayors in our respective towns. But I think as you hear about some of the different qualities that you need, we also have to keep in mind that the landscape of what's happening in all of our communities are so connected. So a lot of times we might feel disconnected, but when we're looking at warehouses or other, then we have to make sure that you could come to your county level government, but we would then lodge that challenge, I would say, to our local municipalities.
And we make sure that they don't touch our green acres.
That's right.
And
that's all our parks out there.
Yes, yes.
And I would just say that part of your tax rate, your tax base has to do with rateables. And just like any other business that you would want to welcome into your municipality, part of sharing, I don't want to say burden, sharing the cost of your tax rate are your businesses. And if you don't have as many businesses to share the brunt of that, then it falls back on the residents. So I think just like any other business, but we certainly, as Dr. Garrison pointed out, that's not at the purview level of the county, but we do work very closely with the municipalities, and we are not disconnected from the issues that they're facing. But certainly that's not part of our governance or things that we oversee.
Right. And I wanted to let you know that I asked that question on purpose so that our webinar attendees and myself and others might understand how it's important to understand what the different roles of our local government play so that we would know what meetings and what things we need to attend, our planning boards, our different things, so that we would know who to go to. So there was a method to my roundabout education on that. So thank you for that.
We embrace it.
Great
we love
question.
it. So it's all
Great
good.
question. Great question.
Yeah.
And it's one that
Wonderful
comes up a
question.
lot. It's one that comes up a lot at the commissioners' meetings.
Yeah, great. And I'm sure you redirect and help them know how you can play a role and how they can also continue to get those questions answered by being involved in other areas of their local government. So
Absolutely.
I'm going to ask.
And I'll just have to add a little plug because I'm on the State Planning Commission. that there has been guidance given by the state to municipalities when their planning and zoning boards are looking to approve warehouses. So that's
Great.
another resource.
Now, something that Dr. Garrison said stuck out to me when she said some of the traits you might need to have to serve in this office. She said having a signature, kind of a signature program or policy or passion that you have. When you sought to be in this position, is there something in particular that you really cared about that made you want to serve in this role? And anyone can take that.
I'll start off. So for me, it was about giving back to my community. When I first started out as a council person, my community, I'm who I am as a result of my community. So I felt a duty to give back to those who gave me so much. And when given this opportunity to now serve as a commissioner, right, I was able to broaden my knowledge, expand my network. It allows me to help people even more at the township level. My arms didn't reach out as much, but now at the county level, I know more. When you have people who, unfortunately, their parents, suffer from dementia. I was not aware that something exists that was called Angel Sense. If you have children with special needs, this is something, they can be provided with a bracelet. So in the event that they actually walk off, we have they utilize a tracking device so that we can locate the individuals via GPS. So there's different things out there. And so this is why I got involved, to give back. And that's what this to me is, it's all about for me.
Fantastic. Did anyone else now, Dr. Garrison, did you have a signature
Well,
issue?
I have a burning topic I gotta share.
Yeah.
So I started out always loving education. The fact that I did not go to school in Hillside, but I went to school outside of Hillside. So I knew my cousins growing up didn't get some of the opportunities I did going to public school. So when I first became a school board member and took it all the way up again to county commissioner, one of the first programs initiatives I brought to the county was honoring honor students. No one ever thinks about the honor students on a county level with their teachers and everyone else. And so as a county, we were able to take an issue that might not be traditionally something we would handle, but we were able to embrace education. So in whether front, vertical, horizontal, I really am about education, whether educational policies or other, but I've let that be a signature piece of anything I've done in any of the roles, whether it's getting young people to do training programs through education, or again, you can really take a signature issue that you really care about. And even when I was in Hillside as the mayor, right before I did a 100th anniversary. So it was education. But again, taking something that you really care about and figuring out how do you flip it, twist it, and turn it around and make sure that no matter what, that you really can come back to your core, because you'll need it, as my colleague Chanel knows, when people are fighting and tugging and stabbing and all kind of things. You need to remember the why are you there? And if you smile or are inspired by younger people or because someone inspired you, that's what's going to keep you motivated. So that's one of the things that has always kept me going through my years.
And I would add to that. Well, for me, it's really arts and culture. I believe that art saves lives. And we have a lot of people out there who have no artistic outlet. So arts and culture. I served on the Plainfield City Council for 7.5 years, and before that, I served on the Cultural and Heritage Association board. So coming to the county, being able to, help expand our arts and culture to all of our communities, especially our people with special needs and disabilities, and our young people. We have an arts for all abilities program running right now. It'll be in Hillside this week. I'm looking forward to that. But really making sure that everyone has an outlet to achieve things that are not, it's not about taxes, it's not about those other sort of material hard things, but it's really about what inspires you, what do you dream about. So I think that arts and culture are among the most important things, and those are where my initiatives always have lain.
Wow.
I just want to give a plug, Chanel, before you go, right? So I just want to tell you that every year I have an annual Walk for Your Health. It's a free 5K walk. It's all about you. It's an opportunity to have self-care. So whether you're a Middlesex County resident, a Union resident, a Somerset resident, please come to Piscataway in May or June and walk with ladies. Bring your children, bring your husbands. So it's free. And we will get back to you with the link for registration. So I just want to put that out.
Awesome.
This is something that I'm a big advocate, your health. So just want to put
Thank
that
you.
out.
I'm just
Nice.
laughing because this is normal for us. We share ideas.
I
Yes,
love
do.
it. I love it. I love it.
We support one another in the
Definitely.
things that we're doing. But my why and my initiative, my heart is really with human services. It goes from the babies to the seasoned, and where the impact is with people's quality of life. And I think as elected officials or in this space, we fail the people. And so my why is the people. I have a heart of service, and I often tell people that this is heart work and not hard work. It's easy for me to advocate. It's easy for me to give back to the community, whatever that community is and whatever that community looks like. Everybody has a story. Everybody has something that they're in need of. And I think being in this space at a county level, we have a great opportunity to give back. But not only that, you're in a sweet spot where we're able to connect with the local level, at the municipal level, and also at the state level. And we have inroads and networks and conversations with those that are at the federal level. So it runs the gamut.
Now, one thing that sticks out to me that you mentioned is that you also have, your role covers public safety. Let me ask you, tell me what that means exactly. And particularly something that interests me is there's a board, I believe, that young people who may be faced with things involving the government and involving the law, that before they go to a court system, they go to is it the Child Placement Review Board? I'm not sure what it is, but I believe it's a county group that in some way reviews cases that don't go to a judge. Maybe I'm off base here, but tell me a little about what it means when you say you all have coverage over public safety or some type. Tell me a little about that.
That's a loaded question. That's a lot.
Yeah. So I would say, for instance, Middlesex County, it's the sheriff's office, right? We have the sheriff's office. They're responsible. So when you go to court, the county courthouse, the police officers that actually, when you first walk in, the police officers in the courtrooms, those are sheriff's officers. They serve warrants, right? They're out in your community. The DARE program isn't part of. I'm trying to think of oh gosh, I can't think of the name of this organization, but it'll come to me, where they have youth programs for children in the summer. They introduce and bridge that gap between the community and the police officers themselves. But I'm not really sure about that program. Maybe we can get back to you, Denise. At least I'm not. I don't know if anyone else is.
And in Somerset County, we do have the Youth Services Commission, and we do offer resources and programs that for youth who are at risk, where they can go through a path to get them back on the right track and be a little more successful, and get them out of that at-risk category. In addition to other agencies that we work with and that are part of that commission that offer resources and services to keep them from going through from the school to the prison system.
Fantastic. And that is under the county commissioner as well.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Fantastic. And I see my soror, LaQuanda Williams, jotted both of those in the chat, the County Youth Services Commission and the Juvenile Conference Committee. She highlighted.
Yes.
Okay. Let me see here. We probably have about another 6 or 7 minutes. And before we transition, we're going to have some remarks from our Eastern Region Social Action Chair. But I wanted to ask one of my sorors who's monitoring the chat, if there's anything that's in the chat that someone might want to ask, and we can take a question live from the chat.
Sure, we have a question. What determines success in your position, and how can we help you succeed?
I'll jump in quickly just
Question.
because one of the things we talked about, and I think all of the ladies on the call, as colleagues, were very proud of in 2021, we were 19 of 134 freeholders in the state of New Jersey. And not only did we have the ability to come together and work with our state representatives and the governor, we actually changed the law. And how we did that was we did listen, but we also didn't listen, Rebecca, to a lot of the naysayers, because a lot of the naysayers told us you can't do it. It can't be done. It's too much money. And if you always listen to what people say you can't do without trying to find a solution with allies of what you can do. So we were able to show that we can, because we were able to show success looked like defining it, showing why we wanted to change it. And then as other commissioners came along, as we got elected, you know, as commissioners, I know in 21, we were so proud because of everything happening in the country, but we were able to change and not be the last state in the country to be named freeholder. So that's what success looks like. But what it looks like for us, or for me going forward, is for us to take on issues that people tell us we can't do. And because it is so powerful to have so many Black women who are not always showing up with us, we don't want to turn around and be the only ones. We want to turn around and make sure that we have people to stand with us.
And what you said there helps is almost a perfect segue for what we're going to do in the second half of our program, which is talk
Blessings.
about how there are other resources and organizations out there to help Black women run, right? So
Yes.
thank you for that.
And
Did
I
anyone else
would just,
add?
I would just want to add, I did happen to see a question in the chat from Tracy Cox asking about ID bracelets for persons with dementia. So Tracy, I know you're a Union County resident, Plainfield resident. So I would just suggest that you contact our Office on Aging, Union County Office on Aging, at our website, ucnj.org, and they will be able to direct you. We have a number of programs, and they can give you all the information that you would need. I'm sorry, I just saw that question.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank
so yeah.
Thank
And
you.
you can help us, for everyone, just generally you can help us succeed by supporting us in our endeavors. For example,
Yes.
as Chanel said, Dr. Chanel said, you know, supporting the kinds of events such as her 5K health run, you know, supporting everything that we do, because we're actually doing it for the residents. We don't get anything out of it except the satisfaction of knowing that we have been helpful to our residents.
Yeah, and to piggyback on what Rebecca said, success to me is helping our residents, right? Giving them, whether it's an answer to a question, informing people, educating them about what they've already paid for. So as a Middlesex County resident, I'm just going to put this out there. If you know anyone who's interested in pursuing education and they make less than $65,000 a year, they can go to Middlesex College for free, right? That's important for people to know. A lot of people don't know that. So,
I didn't know that. Yeah.
please reach out. I think that's, to me, is what success looks like. Finding that student who's interested, who feels like they don't have enough money, and making them aware that there is an opportunity for them there.
Thank you.
So things
Thank
like that, that's to me
Yeah.
success.
And I'll just say what success looks like, in addition to what my colleagues have said, is definitely reaching out and being able to help the least of us. Just because they're not the most vocal, the most visible, the most present, but being able to appropriate the county dollars that we get and making sure that we're serving all people at all times. And for me, being the first, I don't want to be the last, and I don't want to be the only, as Dr. Garrettson said. So we have a responsibility, not only to one another, but to our residents. And the way that you can continue to support any of your elected officials that you are in support of, especially African-American women, is donations, come out to events. And it's very disheartening when you're putting it all on the line and you put others before yourself and an excellence in all that we do, when the people don't come out. I'm telling you, the others are counting the numbers. They are transactional. And if we don't draw the people or bring them out, then they're not going to listen to us. Our voices will become muted, or they will be just drowned out altogether. So continue to support anything that we're doing, anything that we put forth. Show up. Numbers matter. Votes matter. Your vote doesn't start and stop by going into the voting booth and casting your vote and putting that ballot in the mail. But also, as a segue going into the next hour, there's a soft place for everyone to land. Get on a commission, committee, or a board, and this is a great time
That's
to do
right.
that.
Thank you.
That's
I
right.
know that our esteemed social action chair has to leave momentarily. So if Sora Drew could please give us her remarks, we would be so happy to have those down. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate you giving me some time just to even address the audience. This has been a really, really wonderful topic. And first, just giving greetings to your President, Patricia Williamson, and the First Vice President, Nadine Prince Rosemond, and the Social Action Chairs for your chapter, Lisa Malloy Stevens, and the Reverend Dr. Katrina Blackman Jackson. I will be calling on her if I need an introduction. But just to all of the distinguished panelists here, and then those in the viewing audience, I really want to thank you, to say thank you to the Central Jersey chapter for putting this program on. And again, my name is Nicole Drew. I am the Eastern Region Social Action Committee for Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. And bring you greetings on behalf of our regional director, Rosie Allen Herring, and also her partner in leadership, the regional representative, Gerald Holdup, who also serves as my co-chair of our regional social action team, and also your state social action coordinator, who's Alicia Benjamin Stennett in another Jersey chapter, but she serves the state very well. And I know that everyone has heard this so many times, that we're in this critical point in our democracy, but we are. And if you look at just the history of civil rights leaders, and they talked about voting rights history, education, freedom, equitable rights. And those are things that we're still talking about today. So,
Yes.
the work is not done, and we need you to serve at all levels. And so Delta Sigma Theta sorority is all about sisterhood, scholarship, service, and social action. And
Yeah.
so I'm so pleased that the Central Jersey Alumni Chapter is bringing this critical information to you all to ensure that we're doing our part to put that action in social action. And everyone can serve. Everyone doesn't have to be an elected official, but everybody can find their place, as was mentioned earlier. And so it's just really important to understand who does what, staying plugged in. So you have the information. This is great information about lower income students being able to get government funding to go to school. Everyone can serve, and that might be your wheelhouse, where you're just getting the information and putting it out there to the county, but also paying attention to being on those boards, because that is so critical for us to have the voice at the table. And so I love, I think it was Commissioner Robinson who said the hard work, it's hard work, not hard work. But
That's right.
for us in the sorority, it definitely is hard work, and we want to make sure that our communities are well served and well represented, and that we are supporting our elected officials also, so that they're not out there alone. So I hope you'll take these tools today, and just be prepared to raise your hand to be a strong advocate in the community, but also and just using that power in your voices. And as I usually say, be bold in your stance, vociferous in your advocacy, and for my sorors, be a diva as you go about your Delta business. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Sora Drew.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Sorry, I can't
Thank
stay for
you.
the rest of the program, but this has been excellent. I'll view the rest of it online later.
Thank you,
Thank
Sora
you
Drew.
again.
Thank you. And to our esteemed county commissioners, we are at the end of this portion of the program. I have really enjoyed speaking with you all, and I know I have a plethora of questions that came in from our registrants. We're going to make sure we get those out to you, even if not for answering per se, so that you understand the questions that are on our constituents' mind. I know that we have people who are dialed in from not only New Jersey, but from other states who also just were interested in learning more about Black women and how Black women run county government. So on behalf of the Central Jersey Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, our president, Patricia Williamson, we want to thank you very much for your participation. We hope you can stay for the second hour. If you can't, we certainly understand. But I now am going to take us to what I believe is a 5-minute break. So we will come back promptly at 8:02 to begin our program. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for
Thank you
having
so
me.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And please
Thank
make
you.
sure that, that you all have our information, or anybody who has a question, they can just send an email to me, or to all of my colleagues here. And we will certainly respond to anything that is not responded to this evening. So I want
And
to
I
thank
must
you
give
all.
a shout out to all my Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated sisters who are also online, but also the fact that this is a D9 collaborative call. It is so
Yes.
powerful. I'm so proud of all of the Delta sisters who are here today, because it is truly because of all of us that what we do is possible. Believe
Yes.
all of us that it is not possible for us to walk in the hallways that we do if it were not for so many sisters who are on this call. So thank you
Yes.
very much, and thank you to also my chapter who also hails out of Elizabeth, Omega Psi Omega. But thank you all for inviting us this evening.
Thank
Amen.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Oh, thank you. We'll go to our break now.
Take care.
Take care. And to our webinar attendees, we will come back at 8:03. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was beautiful.
Thank
And a
you.
beautiful amount of women on the call tonight. Your sorors came out tonight.
Thank you.
That's right.
And yours too.
That's a lot.
I know a couple AKs that I invited, so they're here too.
So thank you. But our work continues, and I look forward. Anything that we can do to continue, I'm going to get off camera. But I do thank you so much for the invitation and for y'all diligence.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right,
Thank
ladies.
you.
Thank you. And I
Okay.
see my
Thanks so
councilwoman
much.
on there,
Thanks so
Andrea
much,
Hyatt.
Denise.
Shout out.
I'm gonna have to
All right,
I'm gonna
thank
have to
you.
head out. Angela, I will see you at the roundup,
Okay.
wherever that is. And thank you so
Okay.
much, Denise.
Thank you.
And again, have anyone reach out to us at any time. They can just send us an email. We have folks who can assist us. We can direct them wherever they need to go. But there's, one great thing we didn't say is there's always a solution.
Absolutely.
I
And
love
so
that.
many great people on this call. Thank you again.
Thank you.
It was a
Thank you.
pleasure.
All right.
That's a
Thank
good
you.
thing
Take
to end
care.
on. There's always a solution. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Let me see.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Just want to bring us back from that brief intermission, and I want to introduce our esteemed moderator, Dr. Brittany Kirkland. She was raised in Union, New Jersey, and as a child, Brittany excelled in academics and always held education as a top priority. With this desire and determination, Brittany graduated magna cum laude from Hampton University with a BA in psychology and a minor in criminal justice. She later received her MA in general psychology with a concentration in forensics from NYU and attained her Doctor of Education with a specialization in education leadership and management. After receiving her master's degree, Brittany went on to become an adjunct professor of psychology for Union County College and Middlesex County College, which launched a decade-long career in education. Additionally, Brittany worked full-time at Achievement First, a charter school network where she was involved in accelerating the cohesion and coordination of K-12 programming and overseeing professional development for 2,000 plus teachers. But Brittany's most prized accomplishment was campaigning and winning a seat for a 3-year term on the Board of Education for the borough of Roselle Park in November 2020. Where she has since served on numerous committees, which include Chair of Board of Operations and Chair of the Superintendent Search Committee, to promote the continued upward trajectory of Roselle Park and its diverse community of students, and just recently won her re-election this past November. Brittany was also appointed to serve as the Board of Directors for the New Jersey School of Board of Association as a representative of Union County and as an officer of the Union County School Board Association. Through her involvement in various roles in education, Brittany decided to start a consulting company, Dr. K's Consulting LLC, where she lends her expertise to nonprofit organizations to assist with development and expansion. Brittany's ultimate goal has always been to combine her experiences, which have brought her to Project Ready New Jersey, a nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting civic engagement and equal access to voting rights while helping Black and Brown communities overcome educational and societal inequalities and inequities. As the new Chief Program Officer, as a constant servant of public service, Dr. Kirkland also dedicates her time to Roselle Park's Diversity and Inclusion Committee, where she helped to bring the first Juneteenth festival this past June, serving as the newly voted president of the Board of Trustees for King's Daughter Day School, located in Plainfield, and is heavily involved in her beloved sorority, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. With further ado, we'll allow Dr. Kirkland to introduce the moderators for the second hour of our program today.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Sora India. I appreciate it. Can we go to the next slide, please? Great. So as we witnessed, we were able to talk to county commissioners during the first slide. And so you got a little bit of insight into exactly what it looks like to be in a county level position. But now in this section, we're going to talk about what it means to actually run and also talk to some experts that have helped run numerous campaigns in the past. So first, I would like to introduce Soror T. Missy Balamir. For over 20 years, T. Missy Balamir has worked for many of New Jersey's political leaders at the state, federal, and municipal levels, serving in senior roles on campaigns and in government. In 2012, she launched her consulting firm, Thorough Planning, working with government entities and Fortune 500 companies on their community engagement strategies. Ms. Balmier has been the African-American Base Vote Director and Senior Advisor for Bomo for Governor in 2013, Booker for Senate in 2014, Menendez for Senate in 2012 and 2018, and a consultant for the New Jersey Senate Majority PAC under Senator Steve Sweeney. She served as a deputy campaign manager for Senator Cory Booker in 2020's re-election campaign and co-chair for the New Jersey Democratic State Committee Black Caucus. In addition to her extensive political expertise, Ms. Balmier is a seasoned government official. She has served as Assistant Commissioner of Operations at the New Jersey Department of Human Services, Director of Intergovernmental Affairs in the Office of the Governor in the Corzine Administration, as well as the Chief of Staff to East Orange Mayor Lesnar E. Taylor, Business Administrator in Hamilton Township under Mayor Jeff Martin, and Senior Outreach Advisor to Senator Bob Menendez. Ms. Balmier, as a former member of the City of Trenton School Board and is a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, Trenton Alumni Chapter. Ms. Balmier has a degree in political science from Rider University and a master's degree in public affairs and politics from Rutgers University, Edward J. Baustein School of Planning and Public Policy. She was a graduate fellow at the Eagleton Institute of Politics and is currently an adjunct professor at the Eagleton Institute. She's also a member of the New Jersey American Water Board of Directors. She lives in Roselle with her husband, former Hudson County Commissioner Gerald M. Balmier. Next, I would like to introduce Ms. April Turner. Ms. April Turner is a public relations professional with over 20 years of experience working with nonprofit and corporate clients, and is the current Vice President of Communications and External Affairs at Higher Heights for America, the political home for Black women, where she works to harness the collective organizing power of Black women from the voting booth to elected office. Prior to this role, Ms. Turner served as Vice President of Communications for the Campaign for Youth Justice for 8 years, where she led media strategy to elevate the issue of prosecuting youth in adult criminal court. Ms. Turner started Turner Communications LLC, where she was able to practice public relations with a purpose by advancing worthy causes. In this role, she served as a senator she served as a senior advisor to Megaphone Strategies, a nonprofit social justice strategy firm. She has worked with the NAACP, Hip Hop Caucus, She the People, NDN Collective, the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, Education Post, the National Association of Black Journalists, the National Alliance of Public Charter Schools, the Children's Dental Health Project, Resilience Force, and Medgar Evers Center for Law and Social Justice. Previously, Ms. Turner worked on Capitol Hill in several media capacities, including press advisor to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi of California, deputy press secretary to Congressman Stephen Lynch of Massachusetts, communications director to Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee of Texas, and Congresswoman Carolyn McCarthy of New York. April has been a senior accountant executive at Cooper Katz Public Relations in New York City, as well as planned and conducted media outreach initiatives for New York lawyers for the public interest and the National Campaign to Restore Civil Rights. Ms. Turner holds a bachelor's degree in legal communications from Howard University and a master's degree in political communication and fundraising from the George Washington University, and she is currently working on the dissertation phase of her doctorate at Regent University in strategic communications. She has also obtained her accreditation in public relations and sits on numerous boards, including the board of directors for the Maynard Institute of Journalism Education, and she is the awards and recognition chairwoman for the Public Relations Society of America, Washington, D.C. chapter, just to name a few. And lastly, I would also like to introduce Sora Fatima Hayward. Fatima Hayward is the director of the National Corporate Partnerships at Teach for America, where she manages external relationships and works closely with internal stakeholders across the organization to meet the objectives of TFA through impactful programming. Previously, Fatima was the Reproductive Justice and Community Partnerships Manager at Planned Parenthood Action Fund of New Jersey and Planned Parenthood of Northern, Central, and Southern New Jersey. In her role at Planned Parenthood, she formulated and implemented expansion projects to deepen Planned Parenthood's impact in communities with high sexual and reproductive health disparities through a reproductive justice lens. She also served as the Thrive New Jersey Maternal Justice Subcommittee co-chair, where she led initiatives to raise awareness about maternal health, educate healthcare providers on factors that contribute to maternal deaths, and encourage women, families, and providers to recognize and discuss maternal and child health outcomes. Appointed by Governor Phil Murphy, Ms. Hayward serves as the youngest commissioner on the New Jersey Homicide Commission, whose mission is to promote a wider implementation of educational awareness programs regarding the African slave trade, slavery in America, and the many contributions Africans have made to American society. In addition, Fatima is president of the New Jersey Young Democrats and made history by becoming the first African-American woman of the organization. She's also president emeritus and co-founder of the South Jersey Young Democrats Black Caucus, Emerging Leaders Caucus chair of the New Jersey Democratic State Committee, second vice chair of Young Democrats of America Black Caucus, and diversity chair for the New Jersey Council of New Jersey. So thank you guys so much for attending today. We greatly appreciate it. And so just to kind of kick us off, I wanted to note that there were a lot of questions in regard to kind of how to get started with running. So I did my best to kind of combine them all. So this is like a two-part question that we're going to start with. So first, what is the first step that I can take to show interest in running for public office as someone with no political experience? And then the second part to that was, how can you run without selling your soul?
I'll start off light.
Figured I'd throw that out there to you guys to see what you think.
Those are heavy questions. I'm happy to start. Thank you so much for having us. And again, April Turner with Higher Heights for America. We'll definitely find out what your interests are, what you're passionate about. Is it the school board? Is it, local city council? Is it the local office? And read up on it. Find out who already served in the office, who have served in the office. Go to the county election website and see what the qualifications are to run for the office. Like anything that we tackle, do your research. And the second part of that, well, I know there was a few questions there, but I also want to say what you bring to the table is your shared lived experience. We all have issues that we care about. We all have children in the school system. We've seen it firsthand. There's a pothole at the end of our street. We've seen that firsthand. Whatever it is that you live through and you can bring to the table, somebody else is feeling that too in your community. And so we oftentimes ask how we qualify to run for office. Like, you are qualified because you are a citizen and that you exist and you care. So that is the first qualification. And of course, that's what you bring to the table so that you don't sell your soul. So that you remember why you're there, why you want to do this, and who you serve. And as long as you keep that at the forefront, hopefully your soul will stay intact too.
Mhm.
I can go ahead and hop in. I think Missy's going to be great to close this one out. I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for the invitation, especially a shout out to Sora Patricia Taylor-Todd, who's been absolutely amazing. I'm really excited to be in the space with you all, and I agree with everything that Ms. April has already shared. I want to lift up, for me, I think the most important thing when you are starting off is to build organic relationships before anything. If you're trying to get anywhere at all, it could be specifically in politics, government, advocacy. It always comes down to, at the end of the day, building those relationships, but ensuring that they're not transactional, that they were already organically being built. If you already know that you have an interest for running for office or being appointed to certain positions, that's where it starts. How do you do that? I think that you can do that in many different ways. The way that I did it, and I'll use myself as an example, is I showed up everywhere when I first was getting started. I wanted to get to know people. I wanted to be in those spaces. I wanted to be able to learn from more seasoned folks. I wanted to be able to absorb that. What I will say with this process as well is that it doesn't matter how old you are. That's not even the point. It's just whatever stage you are in your life. If you want to get involved, if you want to do something to really make an impact, you have to start with building those organic relationships. The next thing I'm going to do is just uplift the research aspect. And I think that goes to what was just already shared. You really need to understand the role and job duties for the office that you seek. I'm not saying that this is what happens with a lot of folks, but I have seen it happen. So this is just a heads up, especially for our wonderful Black women that hopefully will be running just off of this call alone, that you have to make sure you really understand what it will entail. I think a lot of times you kind of get tapped in a little bit and you just kind of get thrown into the fire, don't get a chance to really understand and learn. Do everything you can to understand what it's really going to take specifically for that role, because there may be another role that's an even better fit for you. My other piece is that I would definitely highly recommend that you conduct some sort of internal analysis, even before you launch your campaign, get that far, of just the area that you're in. Identify specifically the issues that matter most to folks. Listen, again, that comes to building those organic relationships through having those conversations with people, from showing up to different events as well. You'll be able to also naturally learn that of what matters most in whatever area that you seek to serve, because that's also going to help inform you in regards to what your campaign could even possibly look like before you even go and do a deeper dive. The only other thing that I really kind of want to uplift and save, I would say, is identify who you need to be talking to. Do you need to be speaking to your county chair and getting acquainted with that person? Do you need to be speaking to your mayor? Who do you need to be speaking to as well, so that you can be well positioned and set up for success in your interest for running for any type of position, and just learn as much as you can prior to your campaign launch. I don't think that you should be trying to learn everything once you launch a campaign. You should be doing everything you can to do research prior to that. So participate in any type of training, go to conferences you can. We'll probably have an opportunity to talk about this a little bit more, but I do want to uplift a great example could be the Emerge New Jersey program, which specifically focuses on Democratic women that are interested in running for office, or in some way, shape, or form really helping shape the political scene in the state of New Jersey. That is a great program to go and help get those initial tools and resources that you may need, even if you're just interested in running. So that would be kind of my rundown of what I think would be great to just consider when you're looking at what that process can look like. I do think it will vary, but really happy to pass it along to Miss Missy Balmer, who I'm sure will be able to add on a lot more. Well, one, thank you, Soros, for inviting me to be here. Just a one note, I am now a member of Central Jersey Alumni Chapter. I've been a member now for a year. So my apologies for my old bio. But I want to talk about power because I think it's really important for women who decide to run for office to understand the role that power plays and understand that you must embrace the efforts to gain it in order to achieve your goals. I think we come to the table so much more altruistic than most. And I'm not saying you should not be that. You should definitely be that. But understanding that in order for you to move into this process and have impact, not just have a title, not just be elected to office, but to have impact, which, we are women of impact. You want to understand the role that power plays. So all of the things that Sister Turner and Sister Haywood mentioned speak to that in the sense that it gives you the necessary information so that you move accordingly as you are making decisions on how and what you're going to do to run for office. So knowing what office you want to run for, right? Obviously, knowing exactly what that office does. Does it do what you want to be doing? Right? Are you, a board of education is very different than a city council. A city council is very different than running for, in the type of city council, depending on where you live. It can be very different. So you really want to understand those things because it'll help you, and understanding those things in the context of power will help you be more effective. So I lean to that a lot because I find that women, particularly Black women, but women in general, particularly Black women, we're not always comfortable with what that means and the idea of going after and seeking power, because something about it, we've been told it's like bad, like you shouldn't be seeking power. Everyone else who's running in other communities, that's what they're seeking because they understand that to understand how power is structured based on the position that you're running for will help you be more effective and have impact. So I would say all of the things that both Sister Turner and Sister Haywood said, but also understanding the power dynamic in the respective area where you're running.
Great. Thank you for that. I would say that I totally agree with you all from my own perspective of definitely doing your research and making sure that you know like what your position entails, because that is very, very real. A lot of people don't understand the positions that they're getting elected into until they're in it. And sometimes learning on the fly is not the best. I do have another question, and I'll start with Fatima on this one. Just in relation to something that you had mentioned about like building relationships. So this is another kind of two-part. One, how do you run for office or seek appointment if you are not affiliated with either of the prominent political parties? Do you need to be affiliated to win? And then either way, having those relationships, how do you go about actually building them organically?
Okay, thank you. I actually wanted to be able to kick this one off. So one of the two are easier, in my opinion. We're talking about what do you do when you're interested in running for office versus if you're looking to be appointed to a commission, a board, or authority, to my understanding. I would definitely say, and hopefully everyone can agree with me, that it's easier to get appointed to a commission versus running for office, unless you're just running unopposed, for example. That process is actually very easy, in my opinion. It doesn't mean it's always going to be a guarantee that you will get appointed, but in regards to applying for that and going through that process, I do think that is a pretty clear, clean process. I have no problem also what I'm about to share dropping in the chat as well. So when you're seeking to do something like that, you go right on the website. They have a website that goes and outlines everything you need to know about all of the available commissions that may have vacancies. For example, you can identify which one you would want to apply for. You go and you apply to that. I also highly recommend that you go and you also express your interest specifically to the director of appointments. And her name is Sam Parker, who is absolutely phenomenal. I have had the pleasure of working with her. And she was the one who also assisted with me getting appointed to the New Jersey Amistad Commission. For anyone who does not know Sam or is not familiar with her name, she also now serves as the new chief of staff for Lieutenant Governor Tahisha Way. Sam is someone who'll be more than happy to go and walk anyone through the process on a more in-depth scale. And I actually had touched base with her even prior to this to make sure she was even still in that position. But Sam is amazing with that. She would be able to assist with that. But I think more importantly, you can go and identify what you may be interested in by going to that website and also knowing who that point person would be that would assist in those appointments being made. That's the first part, which is the easier side. And like I said, once I'm done and someone else starts speaking, I'll drop that link in the chat for everybody. The other piece is when you're looking to run for office, the big question is if you need to be affiliated. So I think I'm really interested in hearing what my peers on this call will be sharing, but I do think that that is going to assist you in a much stronger way. I'm not saying that you cannot run, without being a part of one of the main affiliations, but it does give you greater odds of being successful if you identify with one, in my opinion. And I think it also depends on the state that you're in. It depends on the area that you are in. There's always additional factors that have to be considered. So I don't think that is going to be like a universal rule that should be applied when we're answering this question. But I do think it's very, very important for you to identify where you feel most alignment with, find that alignment, find those people. And then, like I said, going back to my initial point, building those organic relationships, and then going back to everything that we've already shared about, what that process should look like and what you should be doing to prepare yourself to run for office. So that would be kind of my initial reactions to both of those pieces. Most certainly, nothing should be holding you back if you're interested in applying for an appointment. If you want to run for office, is there a big concern around where you're affiliated? I do think that plays a large role, specifically in this state.
Thank you.
Well, I guess I'll chime in. Yes to everything that Sister Haywood said. It depends also in terms of the partisanship will depend on where you're running and what you're running for. So in some places, some towns are nonpartisan. A lot of our big cities are actually nonpartisan. So that's why at one point you had a Republican mayor of Jersey City, right? And he was, voted for there. But so that it matters, again, kind of the dynamic in that area. Most school boards are nonpartisan, but there is still a partisan tilt to things, right? Depending on what you're talking about, but you can avoid some of the challenges in the state in terms of the party line. I'm sure we'll get into that at some point. The party line structure in New Jersey, in those running for those other offices. The one thing I want to add about the appointments, and I think Fatima, you may probably have had some of this experience also, is the senatorial courtesy. Again, understanding the power structure as it relates to appointments. And I say this, I think it's great for us to be appointed to all types of boards. Sometimes there is a push for us to be in certain places, right? So if you look at the boards that have the large budgets, that have the impact, you won't see us on those boards, right? So I think to Fatima's point, looking on the website and kind of getting a sense of what the boards are, I think one of the first places you also should talk to is your senator, and express your interest to them, because sometimes they are looking for candidates to recommend. And because of senatorial courtesy, in some cases, you have to get their approval in order to be appointed to the board. But again, understanding the power structure as it relates to appointments is important, because there are some boards that, if you look at the boards that have the hugest budgets and impact on opportunities throughout the state, you will not find people of color on those boards. And if there are women, they are not of color. And yes, I'll stress again, like in terms of the partisanship is real in the state, but I've found, and I've said this to my sisters in the struggle, if you build a strong base with the community, if you put yourself in a position to put in, which we all do, put in a certain type of work that is a layer underneath, where you really, to Fatima's point of building those organic relationships, but really with direct to voter, direct to resident, right? Going door to door, volunteering, being like a visible soldier, a visible organizer in your community. You will often get opportunities because they already recognize your popularity. And if you decided to challenge, you will get the line. Like there are people who are gotten the party lines in elections because they could win offline. So the party put them on the line because they did not want to lose. but those are people who put in a lot of work leading up to, right? So I think that's the part that's kind of hard for folks to kind of swallow, that you can be incredibly competent and qualified, but there's a lot of work to be put in terms of getting direct to voter and getting direct to the people who will matter, that will have that can have, and I won't say all the time, but can have a significant impact. I'll use Angela McKnight in Hudson County as a great example. She was a community organizer, social service, worked with seniors, nonprofit, not thinking about running per se, incredibly popular, incredibly hardworking, and the opportunity came to her, right? So when the time came for her to elevate, there was lots of conversations about other people running for that Senate seat, but there was no question that Angela was going to get that Senate seat because she was already so popular. Had they not given her that seat, she could run offline and win. So sometimes what we see the lines, and we don't understand that the lines are also a product of putting people on it that they know will help them win, not that the people would not win without them. It's not often, but it is often enough to show an example of how it can happen. But it does require a significant amount of baseline work being done consistently in order to do that.
And I totally agree with my colleagues. I don't have much to add there. That'd probably be a whole different conversation about our two-party system. It's the one that we have right now, though. I know it'd be a different webinar, but it's the one that we have now. And I know we're going to get into a bit, Black women and the barriers to run for office, for us to run for office. And we need all the help that we can get. So if someone's going to support you, and it's what parties do, besides being partisan, they actually support the candidate that they're trying to put into office. I think that's a good thing for a Black woman to help overcome some of those barriers that exist. Much like was mentioned, there are places in this country, our scope is more national. So there are places in this country where you can run as a third party or independent and probably be more successful than other places. But for the most part, especially as it was said, when you're getting into mayoral elections, getting in city council seats, those are typically nonpartisan, but since it's politics, everything's political, there will sometimes be people that expect you to believe this way on the issue or that way on the issue, even though those are technically supposed to be nonpartisan races. So it's all things to be cognizant about as you think about what you want to run for and how if that partisan ideology or line is something that really bugs you.
Nope. Gosh, you guys are speaking to me. So April, I'm going to start with you just because you said you kind of started my next question already around what are some barriers you feel are not considered when individuals run for office, and then also how do you recommend overcoming them? So I'll start with you.
I'm going to start with the large one that we see with most of our candidates is money. It takes lots of money to run for office, depending on what you're running for, and being able to raise it. And I know we think about who have traditionally had these offices, and I know we have lots of discussion about the Good Old Boys Network and how they go in and they pass their hat and they put forth the candidates that they want. And it's something definitely that Higher Heights has been working with for Black women to have the same thing. Like it's why we exist. We were started because we looked around and said, we really are not in these rooms. There's not really a place for Black women to just do this for ourselves. So we do what we do. We created that place to be able to uplift Black women candidates. So I think that's very important. Just the finances, it just is what it is. It takes resource, time, staff. You might want to buy your volunteers lunch, print materials, be on social, all the things that go into a campaign to run for office to get there. So just raising the collateral to be able to do that, I think is important. We also see sometimes, I mentioned before, even with appointments, we're not in the rooms or the board that we want to be on. So just a leadership pipeline can be a barrier. We're kind of over there just being one of us at the committee or one of us on the city council or one of us in the seats. We want more of us. And then when one of us, ascends, we want somebody else right there to take that person's place. So we just want leadership pipelines, which is also a barrier that we see. In our work, we see lots of barriers with the media. The media covers us differently than they do our traditional white counterparts when it comes to races at all levels, depending on what you're running for. And sometimes not as charitable, or even I won't say as journalists should cover people non-biasly. We see that oftentimes is a problem with Black women candidates. And just being able to assemble the right campaign team, the right staff, when you win, the right team to help you make sure that you're able to have a successful tenure in office, all of those things, because of those pipelines and being able to put together the right people and help you have the right team, can all be barriers that we see to Black women running for office. So there are several, there are groups like us. Someone mentioned Emerge earlier. There are groups to help you think about how to become more familiar in some of these topics, be able to train to be a better fundraiser, be able to train to be a better person on media, just be able to really do our homework, because we know we got to do more with less sometimes, and really be on our stuff to be able to do these things. But I would say now more than ever before, there are probably just more resources for Black women that are really looking to run for office and do these things. And we got your back. We're here to support you, and so are other groups. And I think it's important, as Fatima mentioned earlier, tap into the groups to help you overcome some of these barriers.
Thank you. I do have another question that I kind of want to dig into and I'll start with Missy on this. So April mentioned she mentioned a lot about financing too. And so I will say that that was a lot of what we received tonight too. So can you tell us just an idea of like, is there a target number of how much you should raise, and how should you actually go about raising money for your campaign?
So it's hard to say a target number because it does depend on what you're running for, right? So what you might raise for a school board race may be different than if you're running for mayor or if you're running for the legislature. But whatever the number, and the number also is based on the strategy, like how you plan on, what your campaign plan is. Obviously, if you're running for the state legislature and your plan is to be on TV and cable, and that's going to cost more in some ways than a different type of campaign, right? So that number is also based on that. But what I would say is the strategies for raising, I'm sure April is much better at this advice than I am, but it's basic. Ask your friends, ask your cousin, ask your mama, ask everybody if they love you, give you, make your birthday a fundraiser. You have to ask. And that's often for us, what is the challenge is asking. And we feel like, someone giving me $50. I remember I ran for council in Trenton. I did not win. My line sister did win, and she is now an assemblywoman because the Lord knew better. But I remember we had Delta Deers who would write $25 checks and send them to us, right? Like it's small, but it matters. And it taught me that, no amount of me asking is too small. So a big piece for us is getting to the place where we would just ask, our friends and families and others relentlessly, and getting to the habit of asking, right? Really being okay with asking. That's what other folks are doing. They are asking. No one's like just writing checks, even in the good old boys, they are asking for money all the time, right? So we just have to be in that mindset that it's okay to ask, especially when, we represent something different when we're asking for it. And being able to speak to that, like, people who are in I think Black women make the best candidates, and I mean universally so in all demographics, that Black women, I believe, and I'm sure April has some data to support this, have the ability to win any type of race. So again, like our presence in the process represents something so important that sometimes people just want to be a part of that. But we have to be asking for the money, like ask for the money all the time, ask for the money.
And don't be ashamed to ask anybody and
Don't be
everybody.
ashamed to ask anybody and everybody. It is an investment in you that they're making. It's an investment in the community that they serve. It's an investment in a shared vision and desire for what we want to see for our community. It is an investment. And again, it doesn't have to just be, people of color. I'm talking about ask everybody. Let them say no, right? That it matters. It matters a lot, and you'd be surprised how much you can raise and what you can do with even a little bit if used properly. Hence why that number kind of, depends on what you're planning on doing with it. But depending on the race, you ask everybody.
And so one another question I kind of want to throw out to everyone, because you've all kind of mentioned this a little bit, like the Good Old Boys Club. How do you break that? Do you try to be a part of it, or do you kind of start your own club? Like, how do you navigate that? Anybody who feels free to kind of answer that one first.
I'll jump in on this one just because I am
Okay.
I have a good old boy PhD.
I felt it.
I think it's not that you don't want to be a part of it, because to April's point, the money is there and you need it and want it to do what you need to do. I think you have to understand it, understand who you are in the context of it, and build your own table and a seat at the same time, right? So the more empowered you are, you'll find that they will either want to have you on their team because of the asset that you bring, or they want to have you on their team so that you are not a problem. So it doesn't mean that so I always say, you want to be free. So you have to raise your own money. You have to raise your, excuse my language, FU money, in case there is an effort to push and have you do things that make you forget who you are, because that is real and it does happen. And you want them to know you have it, in the sense that, I don't have to be here. I'm here to do you a favor. I'm going to win regardless. And because you put this work in at the real grassroots level. And I find that sometimes that's the space. And I'm giving these examples because these, there's races recently. My line sister, Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson, Assemblywoman-elect Tennille McCoy, they were not selected for those opportunities. They put in effort to go get them, right? So there's this idea that can't happen. It can, but there are some things you have to do to lead up to that, right? In order to be in position that when the iron strikes, you're ready. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, we love her so much. She's wonderful. She's my favorite. She's great. We want to, that wasn't the case until you put yourself in a position. So we just have to play chess, not checkers, right? It's not an absolute no or yes, because this is the system that we have. But we have to build our own base of support and raise as much as possible our own money so that we can be a part of their, apparatus, fine. But if ever we needed to not be a part of it, we could do that as well.
I want to hop in just really quick, and I'll try to keep this short. So I just want to piggyback off of what Missy was sharing initially. I think it's very, very important for you to be building your own table, but I want to make this clear, and this isn't my own humble opinion. I think it's extremely important to build that table and make sure you're not also isolating yourself from the other group, the other Good Old Boys Club, or whatever that may look like. You want to be able to still be developing or finding a way within that as well. That's how you dominate, in my opinion. If you go off and you're just doing your own thing, you're not going to be able to achieve as much as you would like to. Now, when it comes to actually getting involved and breaking through, as we like to say, that Good Old Boys Club, I would say the main thing that usually happens is that there is a sense of intimidation. They try to intimidate you, not only if you are a woman, but if you are a Black woman. They, like Missy said, which was a very great point, they either want you, there's one or two reasons usually why they want you to be a part of something. I think when you're able to stand on your own and stand firm and not be intimidated, that's a different type of ball game. That's when they know not to really mess with you. But if you allow to, cower away a little bit, or you're trying to figure out how to navigate and find your way, and they just continue time after time again to keep you out of things that you should be a part of if you're already in certain positions, that's where it goes to my third piece of a recommendation. The good old boys know how to stick together, in my opinion. I think that there are a lot of brilliant, not only women, but Black women. Every opportunity that we have as a collective to come together, to stand together, to support each other, to uplift each other, specifically in any type of space like that, is so vital and more crucial than what I think people realize. I experience this in all different aspects of my life. I'm not even just talking about politics. I could be talking about the workplace, for example. We need to continue to prioritize supporting and uplifting each other in the spaces that truly matter. I think a space like this is amazing. It is so important. But when it comes time to certain ears really hearing how amazing this person is or the amount of support that they have, that's what we should be prioritizing in those type of spaces. And I think that we have more power than what we realize. So I kind of just wanted to uplift that part and kind of add that on. I think that's important to not only build your own table, make sure you're not isolating yourself from the other space. Don't let them intimidate you, and make sure that we really recognize what it means to stick together and support each other in the ways that we really need so that we can go and continue to advance things and be the leaders that we should be.
I don't even know what to add to that. That was like the mic drop, like, yes, no, all that is so on point. And just to the point, I love that point that we have so much power. Like, we're here on this call on Monday night. It's 8:47 p.m. We are building political power. We are literally sitting here doing that right now.
Yes.
There's a seed being planted. Someone is thinking like, I can do this. We're talking to someone, and that's what it's about, right? So I agree with, yes, they have their club, and we need to have our own table. And I just wanted to say, we talked about money and barriers and their club and our club. We are such a giving group of people, Black women. We give the most. We give to our churches. We give to our sororities. We have the power if we bring it together. To Fatima's last point of really supporting each other, sticking together, we have the power to really move this country politics, to move candidates, and they can have their club. That's great. We have ours too. I think that's really important, but we have to see ourselves as powerful and really invest in ourselves. Because to Missy's point, when you're asking somebody for money, and that's why men are just better at it, because they're fearless. I'll be honest. We sometimes get intimidated, as was said, and we think, oh, I can't ask them. Yes, you can. And you're asking someone to believe in you. And the first part of that is to say, here's why you should invest in me, because I'm going to come to your community and help do this and blah, blah, blah. So all of that is really important. I think we are powerful beyond measure when we realize it and we harness it. And we should definitely have our own table. I think that's really important.
Thank you guys so much for all of these jewels that you have dropped on us tonight. I definitely heard a lot of themes, but specifically around understanding why you're running, so that this way you're sticking to your values and understanding your power. I feel like as a Black woman, there's such a thing as imposter syndrome where it can kind of take over. And so we kind of lean back opposed to like lean into our own power to be able to affect the change that we want. So thank you so much. I appreciate all of you coming here tonight and dropping these jewels for our group. I'm sure that we'll send out contact information. There were a lot of good information that was given tonight, and so we just greatly appreciate you all. And so I would like to turn the rest of this over to Soror Lawrence Hyatt.
Good evening, Soros. I'm gonna try that again. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Mic on?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna move into introducing our next speaker. And from what I'm told here, we're gonna now have the call of action from Councilwoman at Large, Francois. And I am to read her bio. Councilwoman Kimberly Francois has a Bachelor of Science degree in engineering from Harvard University, a Master of Science in Project Management from George Washington University, and a Lean Six Sigma and Green Belt certifications. Francois is an information technology senior executive in the healthcare industry working in New York City. She is a consulting services small business owner and has extensive professional experience in operations, IT program and project management, and network planning and engineering in telecommunications. And she's also worked in the financial services industry. Kimberly Francois is currently serving as an at-large councilwoman in Franklin Township and is a former 2-term mayor and 3-term deputy mayor.
Councilwoman Francois has been a Franklin elected official now serving her 20th year and has continuously demonstrated her commitment and devotion to Franklin Township. Councilwoman Francois spearheaded the construction of the Franklin Youth Center at 429 Lewis Street, which opened on May 14, 2022 in Somerset, New Jersey. Francois was the chair of the Franklin Township Redevelopment Agency for more than a decade, which is responsible for assisting the Township of Franklin in revitalization of the Renaissance redevelopment area and providing affordable housing. Francois is the founder and leader of the Franklin Youth Initiative, which has provided youth programs such as career fairs, job expos, mentoring, the establishment of the FYI Teen Drop-In Center at the Franklin Middle School Hamilton campus, and the FYI Police Academy for the past 15 years. She spearheaded the FYI program to prevent gang violence in Franklin Township. She has secured Investors Bank as the FYI corporate sponsor and raised over $100,000 in FYI grant funding and $2.5 million for the Youth Center. Councilwoman Francois is on the Sisters to Sisters Professional Advisory Board, Council Liaison to the Board of Education, member of the Somerset County Action Program Board of Directors, Commissioner of the Housing and Sewage Authorities, and included in her many accomplishments, Francois is particularly proud of her mayoral legacy to build the Senior Community Center and the creation of the Franklin Township Teen Recreation Program and various economic development initiatives in Franklin. So without further ado, I introduce to some and remind others, Councilwoman Kimberly Francois.
Good evening, everyone. This
evening.
is truly a powerful, powerful webinar tonight. I really enjoyed everything that everyone said, and I could not have said it even better than what was said tonight. I want to just, for a call to action, I just want to say that I fell into politics. I never came out and said, oh, I want to be a politician. That was never, ever anything that I even dreamed about. But how I fell into politics was I was out in the community. I was very active in the community. I was the vice president of the New Brunswick area branch, NAACP, and I was the chair of their legal redress committee. And I was so concerned about police brutality back then in the early 90s that I was very, very actively involved. Then I became the state chair of the NAACP, their criminal justice committee. So I was out, I was visible. And then Pastor Soares at First Baptist said, you know, you're doing all this stuff in the community. I want you to be a part of my community concerns committee. I want you to chair the First Baptist Church Community Concerns Committee. So what I was providing was free legal counseling for people that had problems in the court system, people who had problems, you know, with going to jail, having legal representation. I also set up a social justice committee and an education committee because I was concerned about what was going on in the school system. So what happened, the Democratic Party, they needed a Black candidate to run. So they said, oh, you're out here in the community. We think you can bring in some votes. You know, we want to have a Black candidate on our slate. So they came to me. I didn't have to worry about raising money. I didn't have to worry about anything. But my passion was that I was concerned about the youth and I was concerned about the seniors. And there was, we had been Republican controlled for over 17 years. And I was hearing out there because I was a part of the community that the seniors wanted a senior center. So my campaign slogan was, I'll build a senior community center and I will have teen recreation because I cared about the youth. That's how it became on the Franklin Township Council. So I would say, you know, if you don't like what's going on in your community, then be about it. Do something about it. Be a voice. Be a part of it. I didn't like what had happened with the police department in Franklin Township because there was a very huge, way before Rodney King, there was a Black police brutality issue that happened. And I felt like if I got on council, when they came to me, even though I had never thought about being involved in politics, I thought I could effect a change there. I didn't like the composition of the police department. It was, you know, basically all male and all white. And I thought, you know, if there's so much racism involved, maybe I could get on and bring in some diversity into our police department. I didn't like the fact that there was a part of the township that was blighted for years, where all Black people live there. And so I was involved in opening up a redevelopment agency. And I still sit on that agency today. And I chaired that agency for over 15 years, where we were able to provide affordable housing and make sure that we had the right type of housing and quality of life for people that look like me. And so in terms of what was going on in the schools, I made sure I got an appointment to be a part of the school liaison with our Board of Education, even though I'm on the council in our form of government. We have nothing to do with, what happens at the school board, but I could affect a lot of change there and have a voice there. So again, I was concerned about the youth and the programmings and the services that were provided. So I would say, if you don't like the quality of life where you live, if you're concerned about public safety, one of the things I've been able to do while I'm on council is we have a Black police director. Her name is Quavella Mayweather. Our first Black police director. She came down from Essex County. I'm very, very extremely proud of that. We used to have a police chief, and now we've changed that. And what has happened since we brought her in, she's brought in all types of minority police officers. And our composition of ethnicity in Franklin Township far exceeds any other police department in Somerset County, or probably in New Jersey. I don't have the stats, but I believe so. She's doing a lot. She's changed the complexity of our community. Black people don't have to walk down the street and be concerned about police brutality. So that was something that was very, very near and dear to my heart. So I would say what everyone else has said here: use your power, believe in yourself, know what your passion is, know what you want to do, know what you want to get done, and be about it. Be visible in the community. Make sure that you're actively involved. You can volunteer to get people out to vote. Voter registration, you can start with that. There's an election campaign. You can find out what the current political entity is in your township, in your municipality. Get involved. Find out when they're going to have elections, how you can help out with the election. Get people elected. Let them know that you have you can bring in votes. Let them know you can organize. Let them know you're a community leader. Let them know you can get stuff done, and you will become a threat, because at any given day, it's all about how can you bring in votes and how can you get people elected, and that's all they care about, right? Use your power, get involved, be about it. That's all I can say. And as the divas that are on this panel, I know every one of you have power, and I know every one of you can use your power, and I know you know what your power is. Use it. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, that was awesome.
And one more thing I want to say: all politics is local. So if you start at the local level, the sky's the limit. I've stayed in local politics because I care about my community. I care about the youth, and I spent 15 years trying to get that youth center up and running. So that was my passion.
That's awesome. And that is so true. All politics are local. There is always work that can be done locally. A lot of times it's as simple as going to your municipality's clerk's office, and you can find out what the local boards are, what the local commissions are, and how you can get appointed to any of those. That's always a good place to start. So I'll turn it back over to my sorors here to move forward in the process. And thank you so much, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you again, Councilwoman. That was so powerful. Thank you again to all our guests tonight. It's been super powerful. I hope that this has been so fruitful in filling your political cups. I hope they runneth over. And going forward, we want to know the things that you learned. What did we get right with our event? And we're inviting our participants to scan the QR code on the screen that you see, as well as I think there should be a link that should be dropped in the chat. Please let us know what we did good. What can we improve upon? What else do you want to see? We did the county government. Do you want to look at the mayor's office? Do you want to look at a higher level? Just let us know how we can do better and how we can better serve our community. Thank you.
And if we move forward to the next slide, please use the QR code available to you on the screen to determine your status and your ability to fulfill your civic duties. Your vote is important. Your vote matters. So please make sure your vote counts. As we close out this program, we want to thank County Commissioners Chanel Robinson, Chanel Scott McCullum, Rebecca Williams, and Dr. Angela Garrettson, Councilwomen Kimberly Francois, esteemed panelists Fatima Hayward, April Turner, and T. Missy Valmere. Moderators Dr. Brittany Kirkland and Denise Clyde for your participation. All of you represent Black women magic and Black women excellence absolutely well. A very special thank you to our beloved Delta leadership, this event's co-chairs, India Lanier and Denise Clyde, our Eastern Region Social Action Chair, Nicole Drew, our beloved CJA President, Patricia Williamson, and our first Vice President, Nadine Prince Rosemond, our visionary for this program, Social Action Co-Chair, Lisa Malloy Stevens. A special shout out to the Social Action Committee and the Technology Committee, who did an outstanding job of putting on this event. You make me stand proud as a member of Delta Sigma Theta because we always represent the spirit of excellence, harmony, and teamwork. In the words of Shirley Chisholm, an absolute phenomenal politician, the first African-American woman nominated for president, and of course, member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, once said, quote, "You don't make progress by standing on the sidelines, whimpering and complaining. You make progress by implementing ideas." I hope that each and every one of you feel empowered, emboldened, uplifted, and inspired to be a part of moving our political climate forward. Let's make progress together because in the words of our chapter president, Patricia Williamson, we are better together. May God bless you and keep you, and may you find great success on your political journey. This is our prayer. Amen. Enjoy your evening.